Hi guys, welcome to my coffee show. My name is Jack and today I have for you my new electric grinder GU38. Not sure how to pronounce the full name of this grinder. GEIMORI, or it sounds more like a club for adults. Anyway, I got it from my Wirsh, from Wirsh company. Thank you very much, Wirsh. I will put the links in the description. What we're going to do today, as always, I will talk about this grinder, my experience with it. I've been using it for the last 3 weeks non-stop. I will talk about good things about this grinder. I will mention a few things that I would like them to change, and by the end, with all the information from this video, you should be able to make your own decision. Is this a product right for you? If you're as excited as myself, definitely click like, sit tight and enjoy. Some time ago I got espresso machine from my Wirsh, like an entry-level espresso machine. It was okay, yeah, for the price it was doing everything that you want the espresso machine to do. I will put the links to that video in the description as well. I always wanted to get the flagship, the 78, GEIMORI 78. Maybe I will get it at some point, but today we are playing with one of the smallest grinder that they have in offer. Not the smallest, because I think they introduced like a travel grinder which is even smaller, but this grinder, 3 kg, very small footprint. It will fit into every kitchen, into every coffee setup. You can have it at your home, you can have it at your office, why not? Light, relatively portable. In the box you will find the grinder, you will find the catching cup, magnetically attached catching cups. You can actually see the magnet at the bottom of it, and you also get that power adapter. I remember I had some smaller grinders on this channel before, and the power adapter was always huge. Here, not small, but much smaller than I was expecting. It comes in 2 colors, black or white. Looks, I mean, it reminds me of some other grinders on the market, but it looks good. I really like this, that cup that you put on top of the grinder. The wood feels of really good quality. It's really nicely made. On the website, what they say about this grinder: precision in simplicity. You get conical, 6-core conical burrs, 38 millimeters as the name suggests. At some point 38 millimeter burrs, though that was the standard for hand grinders. Definitely bigger burrs in electric grinders, but this is supposed to be an entry-level grinder, so you don't need the biggest burrs, you need good burrs. Inside here you have 96 watts of power motor. That's a DC motor, and this engine with this power, for those burrs, they offer 190 RPM, so a bit more than if you were doing a hand grinding, but much less than an average grinder. To change the settings on this grinder, you have stepless steps. I think it actually is stepless, but you have those numbers, notches on the dial. You have plenty of space there to dial in even for the trickiest coffee. The space, the difference in a size between each notch, 10 microns, so you would change the grind settings by 10 microns moving from one notch to another. For espresso I usually operate around number 25, and for pour over, yeah, depending what I want to achieve, but let's say 55 would be my starting point. Another thing that they promise here on the website, they promise 0 retention, and here I have to agree. I hardly ever get anything more than 0.1 on this grinder. Sometimes what I like to do at the end of the grinding, I like to shake the grinder a little bit. Now, is it a very quiet grinder? Yes and no. I will turn it on right now, and that's the grinder without any beans in. Relatively quiet. Once I put beans in, I'm putting 20 grams of coffee for espresso settings. Don't forget to put that cap on as soon as you dose the coffee in. There will be some popcorning. It is narrow. The total capacity of this hopper on top is 30 grams, so there is a good chance that the bean or 2 or 3 will come out. And the noise itself, I wouldn't call it loud, but it is kind of unpleasant scratchy noise. And here we're getting to one of my complaints. I mean, it's not a complaint really, observation. It takes a long time to grind that 20 grams of coffee for espresso. It takes about 40 seconds. And that noise, you will have to endure that noise for a long period of time. I mentioned how sleek the grinder is. I mentioned that I like the small footprint of this grinder, but because it's so small, it wobbles a little bit if you push it. They say that it offers a very uniform grinding experience. They show some graphs. I cannot assess that, but I can do a taste test. It can grind for pretty much everything, so pour over first. I will be using classic Ethiopian Yergashef 15 grams of coffee, and to grind that 15 grams of coffee on a setting around number 55 would take 20 seconds. I will be using my regular pour over setup, timer duo scale, and the brewer and the carafe from Palati. Took me slightly over 3 minutes. Cheers. For my liking, this grinder gives slightly too much body, but it's not something that makes the pour-over tasting bad. You may lose that crispiness that I personally really like in my pour-overs. If I want to get that crispiness, I have to run the pour-over slightly faster than 3 minutes. The spectrum of flavors, it does not look like it magnifies any flavor notes. It showcases the coffee as it is. There is some sourness, there is some chocolatey sweetness. I wouldn't say it's the best pour-over grinder that I've ever tried. Probably something with SSP multi-purpose burst would be more for my liking, but it's not bad. It's definitely very drinkable. You get some flavor notes, you can enjoy that cup. But nobody cares about pour-overs, yeah? You all want to check how this grinder performs for espresso. I will be aiming for 1-to-3 ratio in around 25-ish seconds. Well, let's do it. I was using a tricky coffee. That's the coffee from Tehran. That's the honey anaerobic processed coffee, so even trickier than a regular lighter roast coffee. Cheers. You get lots of fruitiness from this particular coffee, you get some funkiness in the background, you get a sweetness. Now, what this grinder does to your espresso shot, first of all, you get lots of body. I've noticed in the last 3 weeks that body went slightly lower, so possibly seasoning is affecting the burst. How much of that body? Well, not as much as, let's say, niche zero. With niche zero, you often have so much body that it actually leaves like a bitter aftertaste. Here, there is aftertaste, but it is more like a sweet aftertaste. You get flavor notes, you get those main notes from the coffee. It's just that you don't get all the nuances, all the details in that cup. But again, this is an entry-level grinder. If you want something for uber clarity, maybe try the 78mm grinder. Possibly those bigger flat bursts would open up the flavor notes even more. But what you get here, you will enjoy. Almost everybody will enjoy, especially if you're more towards that traditional espresso shot. So to sum up, nice body, nice silkiness in your espresso. You get very pleasant flavor notes, sweetness in the background, but you don't get that full clarity and separation of notes as you would expect from some bigger grinders. If you reach to this part of the video, by the way, you may as well click like, consider subscribing to the channel. I will be unboxing my new espresso machine very soon. I have a new Oria to unbox as well. Lots of things to do and exams at school, so I will try to do my best. This grinder, when I got it, I was not expecting much. I had some smaller grinders in the past and they were not performing well. And then I try espresso shot and wow, I can drink it and I can enjoy it. No, I have lots of grinders. Normal person would have one, maybe two. I try to ask myself a question. If this was my one and only grinder, would I be able to live with it? And the answer here is yes. I get pleasant shots of espresso. I have very acceptable pour-overs. It looks like this grinder will only get better with time. One of the biggest advantages of this grinder, on top of being small and good, it is relatively cheap for electric grinder especially. Currently on the website I see it for $299.99, which I think it's about right. So you can probably find a high-end hand grinder for the same price. You probably would get a bit more clarity from that high-end hand grinder, but you would have to do hand grinding. Here you may be lazy, you just put the coffee in and it does it for you, like all electric grinders do. In the comments guys, obviously, if you tried this grinder, let us know what you think about this. What what you think about that trend of companies introducing those smaller grinders, because you can see them everywhere. You can see this, you can see some very similar designs from different companies. I don't know, I always thought that the bigger the better, but there must be a niche for those smaller grinders as well. Please share your thoughts with me, but for today, thank you very much for watching. My name is Jack, this is my coffee show, and hopefully I will see you soon. Thank you, bye!